Hey everybody, welcome back to the You Must Be Bored podcast. Another episode. I forget which number this is, but it is being recorded on a Monday, September 8th, 2025. I am Devin. As always, I don't think I've ever been anybody else, but for today, I'm Devin still at least. How's everybody doing out there? Hope everybody had a great weekend. It's the start of another week. I was actually contemplating changing the day that I record these because the problem is by the end of the week, so much stuff has happened that is packed into my brain, and I'm always like, I gotta talk about that. I gotta mention this next time I record. But then the weekend comes and I just flush everything out. And then when Monday hits and the new work week starts, I'm basically like a newborn infant. I've got a pristine hard drive in my head. I've got nothing has been retained. So I have to like go the extra mile to try to remind myself of, what were the things that I wanted to actually talk about? Let me adjust my microphone here a little. What are some of the things I want to talk about? There was a lot that happened last week. There's always so much that happens every week now. It's kind of getting difficult to kind of keep up with, really. But the big thing, I guess, for me as a football fan, and if you've seen me on camera, then you know by the hat I occasionally wear at times, a Buffalo Bills fan. Last night, football season, football is back. Football is officially back. And for me, that basically, what the fuck? Hold on a second. I dropped. There we go. For me, that basically means that summer is officially over and it is officially Halloween season. So now I have to start thinking about a Halloween costume. What am I going to do for the month of October? It's been a while since I did something. A few years back, I did a horror movie review marathon sort of thing. So, and I always talk about doing something else. Last year, I think I did what was it? Next Fest was going on, and I think that was last year. Next Fest was happening, and I did some horror indie game reviews. I think Lulu was in on a couple of those. But and then I think I did a horror game for Halloween also. I can't remember which ones I did. One was a body cam game, which was kind of creepy, but also kind of boring. I'll figure it out. I got time. But with the return of football, the return of the Buffalo Bills, oh boy, it brought with it easily the most spectacular fucking game I've ever seen in my life. Holy shit. And I watched all of it from start to finish. Right now, the Chicago Bears are playing the Vikings at home for the Bears. I like Caleb Williams. I think he's pretty good. I think he will be good. It looks like maybe he might actually have a team now, or at least a coach. So we'll have to see how that develops. But yeah, yesterday was just I still have no idea what the fuck I watched. And most Bills fans have been saying that pretty much since the game ended, all the way through today, is what happened. First of all, it was week 1. It was the first game of the season. And despite that, even early on, it felt like a playoff game. Obviously, last year in the playoffs, in the divisional, the Buffalo Bills squeaked by the Baltimore Ravens by grace of a dropped end zone pass from the Ravens tight end. I forget his name, Mark Andrew, I think. And because of that drop, the Bills were able to squeak by. And there was, even all season long, there was all this animosity between Ravens fans and Bills fans with respect to the MVP race happening between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And it got pretty toasty for a bit. And I'm not going to lie, I got involved with that a little bit too. I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's awesome. And I've always had an affinity for the Ravens for whatever weird reason too. I don't know why, but I always have. So I don't have any like personal smoke against him or whatnot. And Lamar Jackson's one of the greatest quarterbacks playing right now. And he's a 2-time MVP winner, and he deserves both of them. But last year it was like, come on, we can't deny what we're seeing with our own eyes here with Josh Allen. We can't deny it. Like, stats are great, but there's a guy who is clearly pulling his team along single-handedly. For the Buffalo Bills, that was Josh Allen. For the Baltimore Ravens, that was Derrick Henry. and Derrick Henry, honestly, he should be getting, in my view, as much, if not more, MVP consideration than Lamar Jackson. And again, that's not a diss on Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is just such an incredible fucking monster, dude. Like, the fact that the game even unfolded the way that it did in those first 3.5 quarters was strictly a function of Derrick Henry being what he is. Even Lamar Jackson having the ability to scramble and make plays and whatnot, it happens the way that it can for him by grace of Derrick Henry being the number one factor that our already bad against the run defense has to try to make up for. So if he had a lesser running back, they wouldn't be quite as threatening. They would still be threatening, don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson is still a weapon, but like whenever Derrick Henry wasn't on the field, I didn't have that much fear of the Ravens offense. Zay Flowers was great. I mean, it's a great team. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. If anything, I should be building them up even more because it just makes what the Bills accomplished that much more spectacular. So I think that the Ravens are awesome. I think that Lamar Jackson's great. I think that Derrick Henry should be in the consideration, more in the consideration for MVP. But given what Josh Allen was doing last year, pulling the team in a way that no other quarterback was, and accomplishing the things that he was able to accomplish, so many records broken, so many first-time weird accomplishments for a quarterback to have done that he did last year, bringing the Bills, like the Bills struggled a little bit in the middle of the season, and for a while it was looking like if we were going to be squeaking into the playoffs as like a bottom-ranked wild card, if at all. And then he pulled the team all the way through to the end of the season, smoked the Dolphins, and wait, was that last year? I can't even remember what. I got to pull up. Credit to Sean McDermott. We go to the playoffs every fucking year now, which is something that I'm still not super used to as a Bills fan. I'm still kind of shaking off the rust of 17 years of a playoff drought. So even though he's been around for 9 years now, and we've been to the playoffs 8 of those 9 years, I still have that old Pavlovian training in me that the Bills are just always, 1 inch away from being disqualified, and it's more likely to be disqualified than not. I gotta shake that habit. That's not who we are anymore. It's not who we are anymore. We're perpetual playoff contenders, perpetual Super Bowl contenders even. What was last year our week 18 was New England. Yeah, Trubisky played that game. We had dominated to close out so thoroughly, losing only to the Rams and not by much. That was a 2-point game. That we sat our starters for the New England game. But yeah, blew those motherfuckers out of the water. We lost to New England because Mitch Trubisky was a quarterback, but we blew New York out of the water earlier. We blew New England out the week before New York. We narrowly beat Detroit. That was a narrow one. We had played phenomenally all last year. Got into the playoffs. We beat a shockingly good Denver team. Squeaked by Baltimore. And then, of course, we do what we do against the Chiefs, which is lose. But on that path to that loss, it was a phenomenal performance like few others you would see from a quarterback in the league. And the crazy thing about this week 1 game yesterday is it felt, like a playoff game for sure. It had the same level of energy and intensity and drama as that divisional game from last year. But 2, everybody seemed to show up. And unfortunately, this means the defense too. Everybody showed up in postseason form. Josh Allen looked like he was just a week removed from that January 19th, 2025 game. It was like, oh, this is just the next week. Like 6 months or whatever in between had not passed. Like, oh, we just got done playing that game, and now I'm just going to continue, pick up where we left off, and have a monster performance. Even if it didn't look like it was going to be that way at first. When I say everybody showed up in postseason form, and I include the defense on that, that obviously is not a positive thing for the Buffalo Bills defense. If our defense for the past 8 years had been even a little bit more stout, a little bit more reliable in the postseason, Josh Allen would probably already have 2, if not 3, Super Bowl rings. The only thing that keeps that guy out of the Lombardi contention at the end of the year is our defense just not being able to hold up. Just not being able to find a way to get a critical 3 and out when we need to end a game 3 and out. It's never been Allen. His performances in the postseason are even better than his regular season performances. He's always showing up, always putting points on the board, always scoring touchdowns. It's just crazy the way that he is so. The word is escaping my mind. I was gonna say prolific, but that's not prolific. I guess works, but productive. I guess maybe his output in the postseason is. I don't think he gets enough attention, like specifically in the postseason. The only thing that keeps him from getting that ring is just our defense. As good as he is on offense, is equally. Counter equally, I guess, as bad as our defense is that bad. I don't know if I even said a coherent sentence there. As good as he is on offense, our defense is as bad. I guess maybe is the closest to making that make sense. And that showed up yesterday too. Our defense was atrocious, and we've got some excuses if we really want to lean on excuses. Our top 2 DBs, Tre'Davious White. Oh, he's broke. Oh, he's breaking on a return. Oh, but there's no time on the fucking. It's halftime. It's halftime. They gave you a false sense of hope there, Chicago. Better luck next time. But yeah, it's Tre'Davious White out with an injury. Our former first round corner, Tre'Davious White, out with an injury. Last year's, or I guess this year's first round pick corner, Max Hairston, out with an injury. 2 of our biggest offseason acquisitions on the defensive line suspended for the first 6 games of the year. So we're not going to see those guys for a while. We should have had a solid contingency plan around that, and I think we kind of did, man. Like Joey Bosa and obviously Ed Oliver, incredible performance by him. Joey Bosa, he learned on the spot. Like, he would take bad edges against Lamar Jackson that would just leave the field wide open for him. But then he eventually learned and was like, nah, I ain't doing that anymore. And he would actually be a pretty key role in containing some of Jackson's scrambling ability. Which I don't know if I'm going to include this in the episode, but I'm going to listen to Berman's summation of yesterday's game when it pops up, because I've got the game here. I've got the Monday Night Football game here, and I do want to listen to that at least, because man, it was so fucking sweet. 40 to what, like 25 or something like that in the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes left. It was a blowout. It was a blowout. So many fans had already left the stadium. The deflation had already happened. Like, I was thinking, okay, we're going to see Mitch Trubisky eventually. Trubisky's going to come out here so Josh Allen doesn't get hurt or whatever on this loss. Okay, whatever. Ravens fans were really fucking feeling themselves every time they scored a touchdown near their end. Where their fans were, you heard their fans chanting MVP, MVP. It was not feeling very good. And then when the Bills started to attempt to mount their comeback, all of their plays were like 5-yard pass here, 8-yard pass there, Allen scrambling for about 5 yards and great, but like at the time I was like, dude, this isn't enough. Time is an issue. You got to chuck this thing down the field and get something going. But of course, I'm just some schmuck watching it on TV. I'm not Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, and I'm certainly not Josh Allen. Those guys knew what they were doing. They took those passes. They took whatever the defense was giving them, to use that cliche. And he took his deep shots, and he got a few of them. Our wide receivers, who had kind of looked lackluster early on in the game, really stepped up in that fourth quarter. Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer. I mean, they really had some big plays, and all of it would have been for naught. And I was expecting all of it to be for naught, to be honest with you, until Ed Oliver forced a very improbable fumble out of Derrick Henry. The least likely thing to happen that I could ever possibly have imagined. A forced fumble on Derrick Henry at the end of a game. But he forced that fumble and we recovered, and then it was game on. And at that point, I was so ensconced in my dejection, my acceptance of defeat, I'm going to hear from Ravens fans for the foreseeable future, at least until we meet the postseason, if that happens. Like, this is going to be a season-long thing. It's going to be really annoying and blah, 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 blah. I was already in that groove. But once they started to, actually show that they could do this, once it was, a minute on the clock and it was 38 to 40, 38 to 40, and we were marching down the field, I was on the edge of my seat. I had never had as much adrenaline coursing through me as I did at that time. My hands were shaky and getting numb. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? There's no way this is going to happen. There's no way this is going to happen. And sure enough, it happened. They wheeled out Matt Prater. Don't know where that guy's been for the past however many years, but 41-year-old kicker. Okay, let me see. I got to hear it. I may cut this out. Oh, this is a fucking ad. Go to hell, Jimmy Kimmel. But I was like, all right, wheel out the old man. Let's see if he still has something in the leg. It was essentially a chip shot, but you could never take anything for granted in the league. So I was on pins and needles, and it was close. It was close. I forget the guy's name, but the Ravens have a real stud at safety who looked like he may have even gotten a fingertip on that ball on the kick. Not enough of one to deflect it, thankfully, but he was there.
Everybody again for another full year of Monday Night Football. Well, one thing you can be sure of in September.
Yeah, all right. So
almost every case, the defense.
I'm just gonna listen. I just want to hear him talking about Buffalo. I'm getting too much joy out of it. All right, I'm getting too much joy out of it.
Points would be at a premium. Wrong. Welcome to a brand new NFL season. Here we all know Aaron Rodgers, quarterback.
Oh, he's starting off with the Jets. Okay, I'll give my 2 cents on these games too. Aaron Rodgers looked better than I thought he would. He's still an old man. He still might be washed. The Jets, I always liked Justin Fields. He got better every year in Chicago. He looks good. He looks good in New York. I'm a little bit worried about that team, but I think that we could still dominate them. They did lose still, after all, to the Steelers.
34-32. Jared Goff, Lions.
Haven't watched this game. I don't know much about it, but let's be real. The Lions lost their 2 stud coordinators, and Aaron Glenn and Ben, I forget the other guy's name, who's the coach of the Bears now. They're going to have a slide. Didn't watch this game, don't know anything about it. Falcons at Bucks. Or Bucks at Atlanta, I guess. Okay, Bucks won. All right, that's cool. Baker Mayfield's on my fantasy team on the bench. Oh, Texans Rams. I watched this one. That peanut punch was like a sniper shot. he sniped that ball out of that dude's hand. Didn't watch this game. Pissed me off because I have Cooper Kupp, but I guess I'm relying on Geno Smith on that one.
Pete Carroll once upon a time coached the Patriots. Mike Vrabel, once upon a time, won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots. Vrabel coaching the Pats, Carroll coaching the Raiders.
Oh, yeah, Pete Carroll's the coach of the Raiders. I forgot about that. That explains why they won. That explains why they won.
Tennessee played tough. Tough place for a debut, though, at Mile High. Bo Nix to Cortland Sutton.
Bo Nix and... Okay, so the Broncos won. Again, shockingly good team. Bo Nix and the Broncos. The Commanders versus the Giants. I mean, anybody have any belief that the Giants were going to do anything? Russell Wilson is washed, and Brian Daboll's an awful coach. Joe Burrow. Is Joe Burrow back? Are the Bengals back? Ooh, we got smoked from behind by the Browns. Oh, the Bengals barely won. I almost feel bad for the Dolphins. To get smoked by Daniel Jones, humiliating. Humiliating. I think Panthers still suck. The Panthers still suck. Not surprised they got beat by the Jags. Cardinals, I don't know anything about these two teams, so I don't have an opinion there. Although I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is on my fantasy team. I think he's in the Cardinals. You didn't even talk about the fucking Buffalo game?
Thank you. What a great...
How do you do a fastest 3 minutes and not talk about, like, the craziest fucking game that has been played in the past 10 years? Maybe even longer, honestly. God damn. Well, granted, it is the one game that has been on the top of sports radio, or just sports media in general, all day. So I guess I'll give them a pass on that one. The other games needed some exposure too. Anyways, that was a big deal last night. Not great that I had to work in the morning when I had my adrenaline jacked up for so long after that too. Like, just hours of me being like, what the fuck did I just watch? But hey, on to the next game, huh? I think we actually play the Jets, so it'll be interesting to see that matchup. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think the Dolphins are going to be trash because they always are, and I'd never bought into Mike McDaniels. I never liked Mike Vrabel as a coach in Tennessee. Thought he was super overrated. We'll see. Not off to a super great start in New England so far, but it's just one game. I guess we'll see what he ends up doing with Drake May. I'm not scared of him, though. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see. That's okay. So that was one big thing that happened, was just yesterday. So it's on the top of my mind. The other thing on the top of my mind that happened last week, and I talked about this on my stream a little bit. My car got broken into because I drive a Hyundai, and I guess the Kia boys found out. And the thing is, when all of that popped off, my model of car got a recall to fix the security issue. So I actually took my car to the dealer to fix that, right? And they put a little fancy sticker on the window to be like, this ought to deter people. Like, this car is thief proof. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm protected. That sticker's gonna shoo people away. Well, I walk out to my car Tuesday morning, getting ready to go to work, and I noticed that my driver's side door is open. That's another thing. These motherfuckers, man, have a little bit of courtesy, okay? My driver's side door was open, and there was like some shit on the floor. And I was like, that's peculiar. I don't recall leaving the door open. Pretty sure I always close that thing when I leave the car. And then that's when I realized, oh, I see what happened. Someone broke into my damn car. Glass shattered all over the back seat. I go and look in the driver's side, and sure enough, right under the steering column, it's all ripped out. It looks like my ignition lock cylinder was removed, was stolen. I was like, so I guess I can't even drive my fucking car, huh? Had to get it towed. It's still currently sitting at the shop right now too. I have a rental. But there's an interesting development on that too. But yeah, so like last week, I was just despondent, angry, waiting to hear back the diagnostics from the shop I had it towed to. They were really busy, so they were like, well, we won't be able to get to it until next week. And I was like, ah, fucking A, are you kidding me? I went and rented the car, but they got back with me shortly after, though, and they were like, yeah, so we can replace the window. They gave me a quote on that, which was insane. Insane quote to replace that window. Not so much on the ignition thing, but I was like, all right, fine, do it. I mean, I'm not happy about the quotes, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done fast, so do it. They got back with me today and told me, because like I was under the impression that the cylinder was stolen. They were like, no, it's still there. It's still there, and it still works. If you wanted to, you could have actually driven your car here instead of having it towed. And I was like, God damn it, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, yeah, all we're gonna do is replace the thing that covers it. And I'm gonna have to have a talk with them when they're done, because like that doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like the thing I was quoted. And it certainly doesn't sound like it's the cost of labor associated with the quote that they gave me. So expect a conversation about that. But it turns out that, yeah, they were trying to steal my car, but whatever repair that Hyundai did when I took it in prevented them from doing so. So they ripped that column off from under there. They tried to steal it, didn't work, and then I guess just left. Which, okay, fucking joke's on you guys. Wasted your time, whatever. At least close the damn door, okay? Because the other thing is they left the door wide open, which ended up draining my damn battery. So like they had to charge my battery. Hopefully the charge of the battery took, and I don't have to fucking replace that, because car batteries all cost like $300 now and shit. But it's almost as much as the repair for the fucking window. But it seems like at least, you know, I'm safe from that. I just need a bigger your efforts to steal this car will be for naught sticker on my window, and maybe they wouldn't have shattered it. Or I just need to just leave my windows rolled down. The funny thing is they didn't steal anything out of the car. I had a really nice leather jacket back there too, but they left it alone. Excuse me. They left my leather jacket alone, so they just wanted to steal the car, I guess, for the joy of stealing the car. Fucking Kia boys. The real dastardly thing about it is I talked about how I have been kind of itching to get a new car, but at the same time, I don't want to get a new car because cars are incredibly expensive right now, and my Hyundai is paid off, and I don't want to pay an incredibly high monthly payment for a car, plus getting top tier level car insurance that you need to get because, you know, the bank that gives you your loan requires you to have it, which is crazy high insurance rates now too. Like insurance for like a car loan costs as much as what a car loan used to cost, and the car loan payments is as much as what rent used to cost. And sometimes as much as what rent currently costs, depending on the terms. Like you have a $40,000 car, which I know you're probably thinking, well, don't get a $40,000 car. Like entry-level cars are like 36 MSRP before dealer markups at this point. So you don't have a choice. You get a $40,000 car, and you know you're struggling, you're begging your bank to give you like a 12-year loan on it. Like, don't make me pay this off in 4 years, man, because I can't afford that. Like, give me a 12-year loan on this thing. It's a debacle. Like the whole auto industry right now. Caleb, you gotta not throw it at that dude's feet, man. What the fuck, all right, please hold. My mother is calling me. And I'm back. That was my mom calling, very timely, to check on the status of my car. I just gave her the update that I basically gave you. So yeah, I don't want a new car. I mean, I do. I like when you get a new car. Like, obviously the cost sucks, but like, you get in and, yeah, the smell, great, but also just like the cleanliness, the pristineness of it, the newness of it. This car that I have now is it's not even a fancy car by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what year it is. It's probably like 2023 or 24, but it's a Nissan Altima, and it's got like a leather steering wheel with hand stitching, and it's got this faux wood panel on the dash, which the color I don't like. It's like this weird blackish grayish wood panel. I would have preferred a more traditional woody looking wood panel. I appreciate the wood panel though. Like, I think more cars should do that. Wood panel and chrome. It's bring it back to the 80s. But the car itself is actually pretty decent. Like, the chairs are comfortable. They're snug. It's roomier than I thought it would be for me. I'm a 6'5", and it's their mid-tier car, or mid-size, I guess. In between the Sentra, if they still sell the Sentra, and the Maxima. It's got some get up and go. It could definitely haul. Its gas, its fuel mileage is not great. I've noticed that much. It's not great, but everything else about it is pretty. It has this feature where if you swerve a little to the left or right, like, it'll buzz your steering wheel, kind of like you're getting a text. I find that annoying, honestly. I find that annoying because Texas roads aren't always the best. You're gonna drive over a pothole or a bump in the road, or there's just gonna be some weird thing you gotta swerve around, and you're just gonna feel your steering wheel buzzing in your hands at random points. At first I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was like, "What is this? What's happening? Is something about to break? Is something breaking?" But once I realized what was going on, it was just annoying every time. Oh, JJ McCarthy with a bad pick. Pick six? Pick six? Oh, pick six. JJ McCarthy with the pick 6 to 2-6? Pick 6 to 2-6? I think that was a pick 6 to 2-6. I never bought the JJ McCarthy hype either. Yeah, 2-6. I never bought the JJ McCarthy hype either. I don't quite get what's supposed to be so special about that kid. They should have just kept rolling with Sam Darnold, to be honest. Go with the guy that brought you the dance. Not saying Sam Darnold's going to get you to the Super Bowl, but fucking who knows? Maybe Josh Rose, or not? Well, not Josh. Jared Goff. Josh Rosen. Jared Goff did. Jared Goff got there. He sucked shit for the Rams for the most part, and then he ended up going to Detroit and proving to be a pretty decent quarterback. I guess he hasn't gotten a Super Bowl, huh? But Stafford did. Stafford was struggling for years on the Lions and ended up getting one with the Rams. But I guess Stafford and Sam Darnold. Well, they're both. What pick was Sam Darnold? He was like the third, right? Sam Darnold was like number 3 pick. I know Stafford was 1. I think in Sam Darnold's class it was Baker Mayfield. No, maybe he was the number 2 pick. This is too much football talk already. I know, but this is the commemoration of the start of football. Is I talk a lot about it at any random point in time. I don't know why I started talking. I saw the pick 6. I was actually talking about my car, but then I saw the pick 6 and got rolled back over to football talk. Yeah, he's the 3rd overall. Who was the second? First was Baker Mayfield, yes. Second was Saquon Barkley. Okay, so he's the 2nd quarterback, but the third pick in the draft. Okay, I remember that. Yeah, and then that was the year we got Josh Allen at 7, and people were like, "No, not Josh Allen. Get Josh Rosen." And I was one of those guys. I didn't want Josh Rosen, but I was definitely on the anti-Josh Allen train. I bought into all of the negative hype around him for sure. Jokes on me. Holy shit. Never been happier to be wronger about a person. Anyways, driving this Nissan around, it's really kind of gotten me. It's luring me into like no, go ahead, get a new car. Notice how good this feels. Notice how smooth this feels. I got that Hyundai in 2018. And 2018 was a whole other lifetime ago. Like, a lot happened for me. A lot of really cool things happened for me in 2018. That was when I met Lauren in person for the first time. I went to Seattle, had a really cool Seattle trip up there. That was when I left the game industry. I left Armature. I'm in a fantasy football league with those guys still all these years later. But I left Armature in 2018 and ventured out into the non-gaming job market, of which I'm still a part of, and it's definitely a unique experience still. Kind of a crazy one right now, but that started in 2018. That was also with the switch from games to non-games. Also came the switch from broke to money. So that was a big change, and because there was that switch from broke to money, there was subsequently a switch from shitty, always breaking down PT Cruiser to sturdy, reliable Hyundai. That was a big deal. That was a big shift. It was a big moment in my life going from that, getting rid of that PT Cruiser finally. It was a whole other era. So many, like the future, the world was my oyster. The future was ahead of me, etc., etc. COVID was years away at that point still, but now 2015 going on 2025 going on 2026. I mean, my car is a 2017 model, so it's almost a decade old. But even after 7 years? Oh man, a lot's happened. I feel, and maybe this is the American-brained consumerist in me. I feel like a new car is symbolic of turning the page. Oh, no. You're not in the Hyundai era anymore. Now you're in the whatever era. Do other Americans define the eras in which they live in by the cars that they happen to be driving in the moment? Because I found that I do that. I have the Hyundai Elantra era, which was right after graduating high school and moving to Austin. Hyundai Elantra was my first car. It's a 97 Elantra. It was green. Then there was the Acura Integra era. That car was brutal. That car taught me a lot of harsh life lessons. And I can't even fully remember the time frame that I had that car. I think I had that from 2002, 2003. It must have been 2002 to about 2004 or 5, maybe 2005. That car was such a piece of shit. It was the textbook definition of a lemon. It was one of the least reliable cars I've ever had in my life, and I'm even including the PT Cruiser in that. Before the PT Cruiser, there was the Toyota Corolla era. So the Hyundai Elantra era, that's my college years. I have a lot of my college memories tied up with that car. The Acura Integra bleeds into the college years too, but that's really more of my working years. That was when I started getting jobs, because a lot of the times when I was going to school, when I had the Elantra, I was just a student, no job. But once I started getting a job, that was when I had the Acura, so I had to drive it all across town, to drive it to GameStop. When I started working at GameStop, it was that GameStop I worked at was on the other side of town, so driving that thing that far was a sketchy proposition. It would backfire, it would chug. It eventually, when I was driving back home one night, the engine seized up on me. We had to tow it and then pay to replace the entire fucking engine. That's how bad of a lemon that car was. The windshield wipers broke, so I had to squeegee the front. I had to reach. I'm driving down the street while it's raining with the driver's side window rolled down, and I'm reaching out the front window with a squeegeeing rain off of my windshield while I'm driving. If that gives you any indication on how much of a piece of shit that car is. Eventually, the brake lights got stuck on. So if I just parked my car and left, the brake lights would eventually drain my battery. So what I had to start doing was and by the way, I'm working at part-time. I'm going to school part-time. Well, I'm going to school full-time, but I'm working part-time at GameStop and Tinseltown movie theater for minimum wage both. And at the time, minimum wage was like $6.25. So $6.25 part-time back then, you're not in any position to be like, well, I guess I'll go get my car fixed. If I needed big repairs, it was asking mom and dad for help. On good days, I could afford the oil change and shit, but other than that, I'm basically just barely scraping by, affording gas. So there was no, we're gonna fix this thing. Brake lights are stuck on. My only way around it, I would pop open the fuse box. I would take out the fuse for the brake light and put it in my pocket and go do what I had to do. And then when I wanted to leave, open the fuse box, pull that fuse out of my pocket, put it in there, turn the car on. Now, the thing is, when you took the fuse out of the fuse box, you took the fuse out of the fuse box, you could not take the car out of park. You needed to have the brake light fuse in order to take the car out of park. So basically, as long as that fuse wasn't in there, your car is a brick. Giant cinder block. Now, here's the thing. That fuse box was not inside the car. The fuse box, or not inside the cabin. The fuse box was under the hood. So every time I had to take the fuse out or put it in, I had to pop the hood and put it in there. Now, this is where things got fucked with that car. If the squeegee out the window wasn't enough, this is where things really got fucked with that car. I was working Thanksgiving at the theater, because obviously that's a big movie day. I go to my car to go home, and I pull the lever to pop the hood, and I hear like a pang. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I go to lift the hood up. Hood doesn't budge. It's not even loose like it would be when you pull the thing normally. So I went back to my car. I pulled the thing a few times. No resistance. I go back to the hood, lift it. No resistance. My hood latch broke completely. So I couldn't open the hood. I had the fuse in my hand still. So it's not like I could be like, damn it, all right, I'll fix that. I'll find a way to fix that later. I'm just going to go home, turn the car on, drive. No, again, remember, you cannot take the car out of park without the fuse in the fucking fuse box. So my car was stuck there. There was nothing I could do. What I ended up having to do, and this is like a true moment of insanity and recognition of the dire situation that I was in, the tenuous situation I was in financially, and the bad look that I was projecting to my peers and my neighbors. I had to go to that parking lot the next day. I got a ride home from my parents. I went back to that parking lot the next day with a hatchet and a saw and a crowbar, not a crowbar, but a tire iron that I used as a crowbar. And basically, I pried up the front lip of the hood just enough to where I could see where the little metal hook of the hood latches into the thing. And I took that saw and I just sawed it, and I got it like thin, and then I took the axe and started hacking away at it, and would saw and hack, and then I would take the crowbar thing and pry it. And I was there for like a little over an hour just doing this until eventually I broke that bitch open. And then I was able to open the hood and put the fuse in. But the problem then was that I couldn't secure my fucking hood. So like if I was going to drive down the street that way, the hood would have just flew up and smashed my windshield. So I had to figure out a solution for that. And what I ended up doing there was I took like a big, thick chain, and I wrapped the chain around like the bumper, and then I wrapped it around something in the hood, and then when the hood was closed, I would wrap it around the front bumper and then put like a real thick padlock on it, like a key padlock. And I had the key on my keychain so that it just wasn't going to fly up. It would move though. I would be driving down the highway and like the hood would just be like, boom, 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 like it was trying to fly up into my face, but it couldn't. Oh my God. That's terrifying, by the way. That's a terrifying experience. By the way, that was also the car that I was driving that the brakes went out on me while I was driving too. I can't begin to tell you how much of a nightmare that fucking car was. I used to love cars and be a car guy, and then I had that car for a couple of years, And I ended up despising cars. I didn't want anything to do with them at that point. That was a very tenuous time in my life, but that eventually segued into me entering the Corolla era. And the Toyota Corolla I had was awesome. I love that car. Not the least of which being because it was the follow-up back to that Acura. So like anything that was even halfway stable was going to be like a luxury car. It was like driving a Bentley at that point. Like, oh, you mean I could just roll down the window and then roll it back up? The other part of the problem with that Acura was like the window was stuck down. It eventually got stuck in the down state. And I probably could have found a way to fix the motor or at least pull the window up partially. But the only reason why I never pursued that was because not only did the AC and heater not work, but whenever you were driving and like the natural air from the engine would push into the car through the vents, it turned the car basically to like a gas chamber. The car was a gas chamber on wheels if the windows were rolled up. All right. I realize that I'm probably painting a very cartoonishly awful picture of this car for you in your head as I describe all of these little things as they come back to me. But I promise you, it's much worse than what I'm describing. It was much, much worse than what I'm describing. I'm sure there's a litany of other things I'm missing from that fucking car. But even just in that Corolla, being able to like twist a knob and like my windshield wipers worked, oh, that was a thing of beauty. That was a thing of beauty. So the Corolla, that actually came when I started working at video game companies. So 2000, I think the Acura was 2002 to maybe 2004, 2005. And the Corolla was, no, I think it was 2004. So the Corolla was like 2005 to about 2009. That was when I started working in the game industry. 2009 was when I got the PT Cruiser, because, you know, again, working at the game industry, not great wages, couldn't really fix a lot of really major repairs. And my Corolla, unfortunately, needed pretty major repairs that I couldn't outright afford. So I just had to junk it and get a new car. And basically all I could afford at that time, again, being as broke as I was, I went to a CarMax and was like, what's the cheapest car on the lot here? And it turned out to be a 2009 PT Cruiser. I must have gotten this. You know what? Now that I think about it, that was 2010, because that would have been a brand new PT Cruiser if it was if I had gotten it in 2009. It was a 2009 model, but it wasn't brand new. So I think I got that in 2010, I believe. And man, that was a whole other era. That was a whole other era. I had that car throughout the entirety of my bio year days and throughout the entirety of my armature days. So 8 years, I think 6 years. I was at BioWare for 6 years, armature for 2. So I was at armature for maybe 3. Oh man, I forget. I'll have to examine my resume to figure out exactly how long I was at places, because then I could determine how long I had these vehicles. But I had that PT Cruiser for a while, and one of my managers at BioWare used to call it the circus hearse, because he was like, it's like a hearse that a tiny clown would be in, which is accurate. But that's how I define the eras in my life, is through my cars. And as you could tell, most of it's not great. I mean, I guess the Hyundai Elantra was a good car. I kind of wrecked it street racing, but that's a different story altogether. Once I got the Sonata, though, that was like I stepped up into big boy territory. Getting that Sonata, my current car, my Hyundai Sonata, it felt like, oh, I'm an adult now. Ooh, I'm a sophisticated adult. I got it, and then like Black Panther came out, and that Kendrick song. What is that Kendrick song? The Kendrick song that was the theme, I guess, to Black Panther. All the Stars or something like that. Like that's so smooth. It's such a smooth, silky smooth song. And it's like, ooh, yeah. This song is adult. This is an adult song. This song is about luxury and class. I feel like I should be like in a Lexus, or a Mercedes commercial with the smooth beat of this Kendrick song. And but I don't know why I associate it with Black Panther, but I do. I guess because that came out around the same time I got that car. The Bears have a takeaway? Man, the Vikings are eating dog shit. They were, the Vikings have kind of been, I don't know. I feel like they've been a lot better than they should have been. Okay, he caught it. He slid. He controlled it. I don't know if they can call that a fumble. He was already down. He was on his knee. He was already on his knees and had secured possession. But then the guy touched him. He touched him. As soon as you touch him while he's down he's on his knees with possession, he's been down. He's out. I don't think you can say that there's a change of possession because the ball's not loose. It's not loose. It's not loose. He's on his knee. It's not loose. It's on his knee. He punches the ball out, but again, he's already on his knee. I guess it's a matter of if he. Okay. I guess this gets tricky because from that angle, it looks like he didn't touch him. It looks like he touched the ball first, and maybe the ball was jarred right before physical contact was made with the player. I don't know if I've ever seen a ruling based on that yet. In my mind, because he didn't get up and make a football move. That's the thing. There is such a thing as the concept of a receiver giving themselves up. And I didn't get the sense that he gave himself, or that he didn't give himself up there. It didn't look like he caught the ball, rolled, and then was about to take off down the field. So if the refs determine that he gave himself up, then that's not going to be a fumble. If they say that he didn't give himself up, then I guess I don't know. That's tough because he really did punch the ball and jar it loose a microsecond before making contact. He made contact with, what was his name, Hawkinsock or something like that. He made contact with them right as the ball was starting to get jarred loose. So you could say that he lost possession, I guess. If you deem that he didn't fully lose possession before he touched Hawkinsock or whatever that dude's name is, then he's down. He's down by contact. If you did say that he lost possession before that touch was made and he didn't give himself up, then it's a fumble. So that's going to be tough. They're at a commercial break now. That's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough one. This is me doing my best refereeing. Although these rules are also esoteric and weird. There was a call last night in the Buffalo game that I didn't understand at all either. I can't remember which one it was. But I just remember being like, I don't know what the rules are anymore. They're all so weird now. But we'll have to see, I guess. See what happens with this call. This is a long commercial break, so they're taking their time deliberating for sure.
In replay, the call stands, and Russell Yerk, our rules analyst. Russell, it doesn't matter that Sewell came in and just punched the ball.
Correct. The punching of the ball is a football play, and that's entirely legal. Even if he incidentally contacts the body, that's not a foul.
So the knee was down. He had possession. Bears lose a timeout.
Okay. So they called it as down. Yeah, they called it as down, which is the correct call, I think. I guess the Bears challenged that and lost it. All right, well, interesting. Always interesting. Anyways, enough car talk. I've been yammering for so long now. Yammering a lot about football, yammering a lot about cars. You know what? I should get out on top while I can because, ever since I started this podcast, I've always been I don't want it to get political. I don't want it to get political. And then I always end up inevitably making it political. And this is football being back gives me a lot of stuff to just yammer about endlessly. That's cool. The car shit that I'm going through, very not cool. Although I do still like cars, despite that Acura's best efforts. So it is neat for me to drive this Nissan around at least. just to see what, I mean, it's been such a long time since I drove any other kind of car. It's nice to see how it feels. I wish the car market was better. I wish the economy was better. I wish everything wasn't going to shit. I wish that we weren't being governed by an actual, literal fucking supervillain of America. The crazy, okay, I'm sorry. We're going to get a little bit political before I dip out here because, like, all right, last week, okay, when last we left off, we were uncertain about the actual state of Donald Trump. Seemed like he may have been going through a medical emergency. Well, we never got a straight answer about that. He posted a very cryptic TikTok that made it seem like he was posting his obituary. Then there was like an announcement that the president was going to make a big announcement the next day at like 2 p.m. So everybody was like, oh, it's a resignation or something for health reasons and whatnot. And I was right there with it. I thought that too. Then it actually happened, and basically it was nothing. It was just moving something to Huntsville. I can't even remember what the fuck it was. It was so inconsequential. Space Force? Is that what it was? Moving Space Force? Also something that's nonsensical. It was just, I mean, one of two things happened. One, he had not a stroke, but maybe a massive heart attack. Had to get some robotics planted in his heart. And he's trying to play it off and trying to make it be like, oh, everything's fine. No. I was just taking a break and I have a big announcement. We're moving this to Huntsville. All right, everybody, I'm back. Let's go back to normal, whatever that means for him. It was either that or it was, I'm going to launch an illegal strike on Venezuela. I'm gonna use the concerns about my health as a smokescreen. I'm gonna distract everybody with this notion that I'm on death's doorstep so that nobody's paying attention when I fucking smoke a little fisherman's dinghy with a $2 million cruise missile and extrajudicially murder 11 people based wholly on nothing. I'm going to say they were drug dealers. I'm not going to provide any evidence. We're not going to be able to see any like fucking packages of drugs or anything floating in the water because, again, a fucking $2 million cruise missile obliterated it. Everything is at the bottom of the sea. Like, you look at the boat that they struck and it was clearly not a boat that was designed to like smuggle anything. It was barely a boat that you could put fish you catch on it. It was small as shit. If anything, you can make the case that it was probably being used to like ferry some immigrants somewhere. That's probably the most likely thing. It was only like 11 people on it. If you're smuggling drugs, you're not doing it with 11 other people on a fucking sparse ass boat. That's space. That's space for the drugs, man. What are you doing? You've got 11 people on here. You need to pack that fucking cocaine on there. Tell those 11 people to get a fucking Uber and meet you there. You don't put 11 people on a small ass dinghy if you're trying to smuggle something. But, Caleb Williams showing the wheels. But, yeah, it was clearly a very, very illegal action that was taken there. One that he should probably be tried on because he did extrajudicially murder 11 people. And I'm consistent with this. I think, when Obama was doing drone strike at Yemeni weddings, he should be tried for that shit too. It's hard to be the president of the United States and not be a fucking war criminal, but this is like what Trump has been up to has been far more egregious than normal. So it could have been that the health thing was just played up to kind of distract people from the not just the strike itself, but setting the stage, staging ships in the ocean off the coast of Venezuela for a future invasion, for a future coup attempt, and also maybe pushing some a little inwards towards Panama to put either pressure on Panama or to stage for an eventual coup attempt of Mexico, since they've got a pretty badass socialist president that's doing all sorts of fucking wicked awesome shit. And, America traditionally doesn't like that sort of thing, which is why the Trump administration pops off about, oh, we need to go after the cartels. We got to do a military strike against the cartels because, the cartels are so bad, even though we're the ones giving them all the fucking guns. You want to make a strike against the cartels, you can start sending $2 million cruise missiles to the fucking gun shows in Texas because that's where they're getting all their fucking firearms. So be that as it may, it was an interesting week from that point on, because then it was like, we don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore. Does the guy have health problems? Does he not have health problems? Are we invading Venezuela? What's happening here? And then like the Epstein stuff came back up again, and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson tried to make an excuse that Donald Trump actually he's a white hat pedo. He was doing pedophilia for the FBI. He said he was an FBI informant, which is a funny way to phrase it. FBI informant. Because an informant is somebody that flips. It's somebody that was in on the criminal activity that got popped by the feds and then was turned and flipped to become an informant, which basically means that he's saying that, yeah, Trump was banging little girls, but then once he got caught, he started banging little girls for America. You know that. So can we really wag a finger at him? Can we really wag a finger at him? But that was all happening, and one or the other. But you know, really, the I'm not going to say that's not important. That is very, very important. In parallel, though, with the big announcement about fucking Huntsville or whatever, there was another big announcement of we're renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. The Department of War, war's back. Eat shit, libs. And it's like, who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. In fact, it's probably better that you call it the Department of War, because now we all can recognize that what you're doing are war crimes. They aren't crimes of defense. You're not, like, that's the funny thing, is like calling it the Department of Defense was an Orwellian attempt for a government to mask their imperial aggressive war policy behind the auspices of self-defense. It's like if I walked into your house and started beating the shit out of you, and then I was like, I'm defending myself. Don't I have the right to defend myself? I'm defending myself. It seems like you don't want me to defend myself. That's actually fucked up of you. What, are you racist? Are you racist against me because you don't want me to defend myself? You want me dead? You want to lynch me. You just said your own words that you want to lynch me because you don't think that I have the right to defend myself. This is defense. Like, that's basically the whole purpose behind naming the Department of War to the Department of Defense. But because Republicans or conservatives both, and they're not always the same thing, but they're such monumentally stupid people, they don't understand that. They think that it's lib shit. They think that it's, well, we don't like war. War is bad, so we're only here to defend ourselves. We're not going to do anything aggressive. We're just going to wait for people to attack us, and then once we're hurting from the attack, we'll go on the defense because we're the Department of Defense. That's what they think. When in actuality, it's the opposite. It's, we are going to be the most violent military force on the face of the earth. And if anyone points a finger at us, we're going to, while we're in the process of biting that finger off, we're going to say self-defense. It's defense. It's the Department of Defense. It's the Department of Defense that's defending America. We're defending the homeland. It's defense. And enough people are willing to buy into that, to the point where it's been the Department of Defense for so long, it's just kind of intrinsically ingrained in how we receive the Department of Defense. I mean, it's just the Department of Defense now. It's been that for so long. It's the Department of Defense. And so America has a right to defend itself. We need to shore up our defenses. All of the money that we invest in the military industrial complex is invested for the purpose of defense. We have to defend the homeland security. It's all defense. Changing it to the Department of War completely undoes all that in a hilarious way where it's like, oh, okay, now your intentions are naked, flagrant. And by the way, people don't like war. Trump campaigned as the anti-war president. He's the peace president. You know, he wasn't like Hillary Clinton. He wasn't going to just start going to war and killing your sons and daughters in a foreign conflict. He's not like George W. Bush and his dumb fucking brother Jeb or whatever. You know, he's the peaceful president. He's anti-war. He's the anti-war candidate. Like, how could you Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan support Kamala Harris and Joe Biden? They're not doing anything for the Palestinians. But me, Trump, I am the anti-war president. We're going to have peace and a ceasefire. Oh, Caleb, scramble it. Oh, wait, why did he throw it? Oh my God, what a fucking disaster. Oh my God. Okay. It rolled out of bounds. It didn't get past the line of scrimmage, but he was out of the tackle box. It might still be intentional grounding, but goddamn, dude, if you're tripping and stumbling, just go to the ground. Just go to the ground and tuck, man. Protect the ball. Go to the ground and tuck it. Like, I don't understand why he threw it. He threw it. He reared it back and threw it. He should have just tucked that thing. They're gonna, intentional grounding for sure. Loss of down, everything like that. Ah, Jesus, what a disaster, Caleb. I know you're young, but you're a second year, man. That's the thing that you get out of your system in year one. What a mess. Anyway, so the Department of War, and then Trump had the audacity. He tweeted this tweet where, all these fucking people do our memes, and there's a reason why all they do are memes. They do memes because they realize they have no popularity. Their agenda doesn't really speak to what the needs of the American people are, and if they spoke of their agenda in plain manner, in plain ways, then they would get pushback. And you see that in approval ratings. Like, the Democrats are hated, but largely because they're seen as being ineffective and they're choosing not to fight Trump and the Republicans. That's why Dems are hated. Trump, his approval ratings are tanking across the board. Even on immigration, he's underwater, which was his strong suit. On the economy, which he won the election on, he's underwater. That was a strong suit. People don't like this motherfucker. They don't like what he stands for. They like his agenda. They like, I guess, the promise of maybe something being better one day, because it looks like he's trying to do stuff to make it better. But we all see that the stuff he's doing is making it worse. So as that realization comes to bear, people are just going to continue to dislike the motherfucker. So he can't really speak in plain terms to his base. Doesn't really matter to people that aren't in his base, to independents who came out to vote for him, to Latino vote and all that kind of stuff. He can't speak to those motherfuckers. So all he can do is own the libs, trigger the libs. It's just troll work. That's all it is. Just dumb troll work. And you should ignore it. You should ignore it wherever you can, because fuck them. Who cares? But the Chicago thing is particularly interesting because I have said for decades, long before Donald Trump was ever a thing in public media, or in the political media, I guess I should say, like back in 2004 and shit, I have long since said that the Republican Party are the single greatest enemies of America that there ever was, more so than Al-Qaeda and anybody else. Everything that the Republicans stand for is in service to destroying America in its entirety, in and of itself. And I'm always proven to be correct in that respect, which is why every time Republicans gain power over everything, shit gets destroyed. Usually it's more esoteric. It's not quite straight up like, I'm gonna fucking destroy America. Until Trump posted this meme, this shitty meme where he's like, it's like him, AI him, which is funny because like it's all AI Trump is always like 180 pounds thinner than what he actually is. And it's like a parody of Apocalypse Now. It says Shy Apocalypse Now. It's about sending the military to Chicago. And it says, I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Like a play off of I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It says, I love the smell of deportations in the morning. And then it says, Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. Which honestly is like a quote that Osama bin Laden would say. That's like a bin Laden quote, or like a fucking Kim Jong-un quote. Like that's a quote from like an actual enemy of America that's like, we are going to target an American city and we're going to launch a nuclear warhead at it. And then you're going to find out why the DPRK, the Democratic Republic People of Korea, we're going to find out why you call us the fucking whatever you call us. You're going to have to find that out when we bomb Chicago, when we send the fucking, and I thought about it, like all of the negative things that Republicans have said about Obama. And again, everybody that knows me knows I'm no Obama fan. I've got plenty of smoke for that motherfucker too. But all the negative things, like he's a socialist, he's a radical, he wants to destroy America, he wants to do this, he wants to do that. And the irony about the socialist part, with Trump announcing that the federal government's going to own some chunk of Intel, which is literally the kind of socialism that I agree with. I like that plan. I think it should be more, and I think we should expand it to fucking the railways. You'd expand it to the airline industry. Let's do more of that, but in a smarter way than him, because he's a fucking idiot. Regardless of that, if Obama had done any of this, like, I kind of wish he had like a time machine. You can go back and be like, hey, Obama, it turns out America's okay with just fucking pulling your balls out and doing whatever wild ass shit you want to do. So go nuts, man. Go nuts. I want Obama in 2010 to do this shit. I want him to be like, ladies and gentlemen of America, it turns out I am a radical Islamic terrorist. We're gonna have Sharia in America. Y'all about to find out why it's called the Mujahideen. There is but one prophet, Muhammad. There's but one Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. Now let's get to beheading. He should have done that. Like, I want that now. Now that it doesn't matter anymore, this whole pretense that we're all Americans and we're all pulling in the same direction and we want what's best for America. Like, there is no we want what's best for America when you're like, Chicago's about to find out why it's called the Department of War, when the AI picture itself paints a Chicago that's far more apocalyptic than what it is now. I was watching iShowSpeed stream in Chicago earlier today. He's in Chicago. Just walking around the city. He's looking at the Great Lakes, and it's like, oh man, that's beautiful. He's talking about how amazing Chicago is, how pretty it is. Fans are coming up to him. It's just like, a normal city. Of course. Why would it be anything other than a normal city? But in this AI picture, like, the sky is blood red and there are helicopters everywhere. There's flames in the back. And it's like, you are demonstrably advertising making Chicago significantly worse than it is right now. For whatever you think it is in your head, you are literally advertising making it fucking much worse. And in the most insane fucking Kim Jong-un type way. They're going to find out why this American city is about to find out why we call it the Department of War. Like, if you heard a president say that, like, this city is about to find out why we call it the Department of War, you would think, oh man, he's talking about Kandahar, or he must be talking about Baghdad, or is he talking about Tehran? Ooh, he's about to do some shit in Tehran. This city's about to find out what we call the Department of War. What's he going to do to Tehran? Oh, man. No, Chicago? You mean where the fucking White Sox play? I'm watching the Bears right now. They're in Chicago. This is a home game. Like, it's 6-17. Like, yeah, this place? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Something fucked up. There's something fucked up about that. But again, it's a troll job, and it's intended to like be like, oh, look at how I'm triggering the libs. The libs are getting triggered. Oh man, that's the only thing that I have going for me is triggering the libs, because I fucking suck shit at everything else. Like, it also highlights, and this is what I've said many times, and I can't stress it enough. The only power these people have. Oh, that was a great touchdown pass by J.J. McCarthy to Justin Jefferson, of course. Who else? But the only power these guys have is making you think they have more power than they actually do. That's it. And that's what this meme is all about. That's what all this shit's all about. All of this is to make you afraid. It's to make you scared. It's to make you be like, oh, what's happening? I can't believe it. They're invading an American city. It's just posturing. Like, these guys are fucking paper tigers. They're nothing. And all of these executive orders that he's signing, they're not laws. Executive orders aren't laws. Just to fucking ignore them. The only people that have to pay attention to an executive order is any member of the military or worker in the federal government for whom that executive order is directly applicable to, which is why, oh my God, these quarterbacks, man, they got to work on their scrambling drills. McCarthy, what the fuck was that? But these executive orders, they don't apply to anybody that's not. That's why, like, Biden, when he campaigned, I'm going to raise the minimum wage $15 an hour. And then, like, he immediately gave up on that fight. He did not push back against Kirsten Sinema or Joe Manchin at all because he's a bitch like that. But then he was like, I'm going to do a concession. I'm going to use because I don't have the balls to whip Congress into doing what it needs to do to make an actual law that's impactful for the country. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bitch-made executive order that says federal government workers have a $15 hour minimum wage. That's applicable to those federal workers, but that's not applicable to fucking Walmart. Walmart doesn't need to do a 15-hour minimum wage because of an executive order. Executive orders aren't laws. So fuck them. Ignore them. If you're not in the government, ignore them. Just inadmissible. And all these tariffs through executive orders, fucking to the degree that you can dismiss them. I think that they should dismiss them outright in general. I think they should just start illegally unloading. They should just start, oh, dude, you were close, bro. They should just start, great defense from Chicago. They should just start illegally unloading shit off of boats and just be like, there's no law being broken here because there was no law passed. There was no law. Like, I guess fucking the LA DMV or whatever can't import things, can't unload a ship of merchandise that they have the rights to because they purchased it. I guess they can't, but Walmart's not the DMV, so the executive order doesn't apply. No, just fucking inadmissible. And yeah, I'm sure that there are some fucking lawyers out there that are like, that's not how tariffs work. If you had any idea of how tariffs work, you understand that the ports are controlled by the federal government. Fuck you. I don't give a shit. Who cares? Laws aren't real anymore. Don't you understand? Laws don't exist. Laws aren't real. None of this tariff shit's law, so don't follow whatever make-believe fucking law that these people want you to follow. Like, so long as you follow the bullshit that they want you to follow, and you make yourself susceptible to this fear campaign that they want to do to make themselves feel more powerful, that's what gives them juice. You just gotta ignore these motherfuckers. You just gotta ignore them. Just be like, whatever, dude. Have fun with your shitty AI memes, man. I hope that's bringing the blood pressure pumping your sparkling new robot heart down a little whenever you post some shit meme. Just ignore it. It is what it is. I just thought it was funny that he's talking about an American city the way that fucking Osama bin Laden, like if bin Laden was still around and had access to Midjourney, he would be making these memes. Like this, he would be making this meme. This is an Osama bin Laden ass, or what's that fucking dude, Al-Zakari or whatever, the guy that looked rough in that shitty white t-shirt and his back hair and looking all scraggly. If those dudes had access to Midjourney and a Twitter account, they would be posting literally this shit right here. Like, New York is about to find out why we're called the fucking the hijackers of 9/11 or whatever. It would be literally this same shit, which I'm only talking about it because it just further validates what I've been saying for years, which is that Republicans are villains. They're just enemies. They're bad guys. They're Cobra from G.I. Joe. Like, there is no, well, they have a difference of opinion on taxes and, land allotments, and, they really have something in them about eminent domain and what the rights of, no. They're just supervillains. They just want to kill you. They just want to fucking kill you, and they gloat about it. So fuck them. Treat them as such. Regard them as such and treat them as such. But they're villains, but they're fucking toothless villains. They're powerless. They're weak. And more than that, incompetent. Like, more than anything else, incompetent. That's really, and that, if I'm going to cap this rant off with anything, that's what I'm really looking forward to the most, when Donald Trump, when his shitty heart finally gives out on him. That's what I was looking towards when the rumors of his failing health were abound. I don't really give a shit whether he lives or dies one way or another. In fact, I've said at many points at times in the past, if the guy never got into politics, aside from the fucking Jeffrey Epstein shit, which I didn't know about back then, but if the guy hadn't got involved in politics, I probably wouldn't mind him all that much, because he's just like a funny dude on occasion. He's a funny dude. He's like a shitty gay guy, honestly. He's like a messy gay. And that can be really entertaining at times. And he's really entertaining for the same reasons that like a messy gay on a Bravo show would be entertaining. So I don't really have a problem like that. But like, because he is such a radical piece of shit and has influenced like the absolute worst human behavior imaginable, like I think about when this guy finally goes, because of the extreme levels of like incompetence and incoherence and just the glued together nature of that MAGA movement, it's going to fall apart at the seams. It's going to get wild. You're going to see the incompetence on full display. You're going to see power grabs. You're going to see backstabbing. You're going to see an incoherent message even. I mean, the message is incoherent as it is right now. Like, that's why Stephen Lutnick, every day, there's something about him either cursing out somebody in the White House or threatening to physically assault somebody in the White House. Like, it's that way because it's already an incoherent mess. And the only glue that's holding it together is this dude's shitty heart. So it will get interesting at some point in a pretty radical way. It remains to be seen to the degree that impacts our current trajectory. But, you know, it doesn't help that we also have a Supreme Court that's totally bought off, literally bought off to go along with whatever insane thing. They just, basically the Supreme Court today said that ICE doing racial profiling is, or not just ICE, the federal government broadly, can do racial profiling, which, I mean, that's that's literally Jim Crow era Supreme Court bench legislation. Like, that's right out of the Jim Crow era. So that's not great. That's not great at all. But hey, what can you do, right? Every day it's something new. Every day it's something new. Oh yeah, I didn't even get to the part where Donald Trump is like taking credit for the infrastructure projects that was passed under the Biden administration. So Biden, there are all these signs in areas that like rail projects and stuff are underway where it's like paid for by Joe Biden's infrastructure bill, and the Trump administration's taking them all down, is putting Donald Trump names up there, even though A, he shit all over that infrastructure bill, just like every other Republican did, but B, he's never passed like any kind. He always, in his first term, he would always be like, it's infrastructure week, and then nothing would get done. I did a video, I reacted to the Acela opening, the grand launch of the new Acela line in the Northeast. And I ranted in that about how there were Department of Transportation officials there to celebrate the launch, and it's like, all you motherfuckers were against this shit. You don't get the right. You don't get the right to celebrate this. None of y'all had a hand in it. You know? So that's cool. And yeah, I got to end this podcast here because it's already an hour and a half into it. But I didn't even get to Austin. Oh boy. Austin spent $1.1 million. And this is the kind of shit that would make frustrated centrist liberals into like hardline anti-tax conservatives, because I see it happening. The city of Austin spent $1.1 million on a new logo design. If that sounds like a lot of money for a logo, I assure you it is a lot of money for a logo. If I told you that the logo is complete and total dog shit, and that there's a TikToker out there that showed you that basically the only thing that the logo designer did was take the fucking logo for, I think it's called like Ambience Health or something like that. Let me see if I can get that name right. I think it's called Ambience Healthcare. Yeah, Ambience Healthcare. Okay, I want you to Google Austin logo, new Austin logo in one tab, and then Google Ambience Healthcare in another, and look at the images and compare, because you'll notice a pretty striking similarity. You'll notice a pretty striking similarity between them. let me see. I'm gonna try to bring it. Here it is. Yeah. You'll notice a pretty striking similarity. And there's been a big backlash to this new logo. Rightly so, because one, it looks like dog shit. But two, it 1.1 million. 1.1 million. This is also happening at the same time that the city is proposing, they're putting on a ballot, there's a ballot initiative to raise property taxes. In Texas, there's a cap on the rate that property taxes can be raised. And if a municipality wants to raise property taxes above that cap, they have to take it to the voters in a ballot initiative. So that's what's happening here at Austin. There's a ballot initiative to try to raise the cap so that they can fund homelessness services and other shit. And famously, Austin property taxes are psychotic and insane. And nobody, obviously no conservative, but hardly any fucking liberals, progressives are on board with. There are some progressives that are, but I mean, I'm not one of them. I don't think the property taxes should be raised. The problem, and I talk about this too, the problem with property taxes in Texas, you know, we get taxed out of our asses more than workers in California do. Not just strictly like we don't have a state income tax, but that's the reason why we don't have a state income tax. So we have to make up for that absence of tax revenue through other means, including raising property taxes incredibly high, but also we have ticky-tack fees, user fees, tolls and gas tax, sales tax, this tax, that tax. It comes out in other ways that in aggregate is more of a tax burden towards workers in Texas than the tax burden that is on workers in California. So we pay a shit ton. We already pay a shit ton. We don't get a lot for it. The thing about this homelessness initiative is that this city already tried to tackle different types of homelessness initiatives before to varying degrees of no success. One of the ones that I did support was converting a couple of empty hotels into into houses for the homeless, which is a great initiative. But it had a multitude of its own problems based purely off of funding. In two respects. One is just the funding that it would take for social workers, for those people who live in those houses, and for the upkeep of those areas, you know, janitorial services, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, people being resistant to wanting to work there, I guess for the wages that those jobs would pay. You know, you have kind of infrastructural hurdles to that, but also just the general program itself, radically overfunded. It seemed like it was definitely just an excuse for handouts to, I think the city manager hired a homelessness czar who was paid a pretty exorbitant fee for basically not doing a whole lot. And that's Austin City Council in a nutshell. Somebody is always getting their beak wet on these sorts of stupid initiatives. The homelessness wasn't a stupid initiative. Something like we need a lot more done. The problem is the kind of things that we need done to really address the homelessness problem is not any kind of ticky-tack, nitpicky, you know, nibbling at the edge kind of shit that a single city can do. Like, the problem is nationwide. It's getting worse, and it can only be solved by broad systemic changes in how both the country at whole and states at a local level think about funding housing projects. And also healthcare problem, because, you know, a lot of it is mental health services that homeless people need, physical health services as well. All of those are kind of tied together. And so long as we don't have single payer healthcare, it's going to be pretty fucking impossible to get all the people the treatment that they need in order to make sure that they either become productive members of society or at the very least aren't harmful members of society. All that costs money and nobody wants to spend it. So long as that's the case, none of this other shit's going to matter. But because of all of the weird kind of funny money business going on with how these homeless initiatives are funded, and especially in light of spending $1 million on this shit logo, That ballot initiative, that property tax initiative, is getting a shit ton of scrutiny, a lot of hate. I like Greg Kazar still. I still support him. He's a big proponent of raising the property taxes, and I'm opposed to it. He's wrong on that, and I'll argue against him on that. I'll support him in many other respects. Oh, great pass by JJ McCarthy, touchdown. They're in it. They're more than in it. They're up now. They've got the lead, pending field goal, lead by 2. But I'll argue against him all day long on this one. And I think the city is just really poorly run. It's just a poorly run city. And a lot of that is a function of the fact that it bent over backwards to try to attract some of the worst human beings imaginable. Real estate developers from California and tech and venture capitalists from Silicon Valley. People that just want to turn Austin into the next libertarian tech cyberpunk dystopia. After they already did that to San Francisco. So, the San Franciscoing of Austin is only going to be saved by the complete and total collapse of our broader society. So when you see a lot of tech companies in Austin had already started laying people off, and you start seeing people move out of the city, and you started seeing housing prices diminish, in part purposely because we started building more, but then also people are leaving too. And now there's a fear of like the AI bubble maybe starting to burst. And if the AI tech bubble burst, you're going to see a lot of tech-oriented cities start to drastically decline. Like, if there's anything that can probably, it's just not going to save Austin in a good way. It'll save it by becoming a libertarian dystopian cyberpunk hellscape by turning it into basically Detroit, which is a failed state. Well, Detroit's not. I shouldn't say that. Detroit, at its worst, it was definitely spiraling towards failed state style status, but it's since rebounded. But you can get into a pretty dire economic situation. Look at places in Ohio and shit. I don't think Austin is ever in danger of going that drastically down that route by virtue of the fact that it's the state capital that also happens to have, one of the largest universities in it. There's always going to be some degree of economic drive here, but it has the potential to get pretty rough, is all I'll say. So we'll see what happens. And if that's the case, if that's what's in line for Austin's future, I don't think this shitty little logo is going to do anything to save its public perception. This logo is just going to be the universal bat symbol for a fucked up, failed city. And it's so uninspired. It's so uninspired too. I kind of want to find out who did this just to see what else they've done. The old city seal, the idea was like the old city seal has like a cross in it, and they didn't want the cross. I don't know. I think that was used as an excuse. I think ultimately people saw like, Minnesota changed its flag and some other places changed their flags and whatnot. And they were like, this is a good opportunity for us to funnel $1 million of the city's budget into my bank account. So I'm going to ask AI to make me a logo for Austin, and then I'm going to put $1 million in my bank account. It's kind of what it seems like what it is. The old city seal was fine. It has a lamp on it, like a genie's lamp, which is interesting. I don't know what that's all about. I guess it was supposed to be inspired by Stephen F. Austin's coat of arms, his family's coat of arms. But whatever the case may be, it didn't need to change. Usually I don't mind changes like that. If they had came out and was like, yeah, we paid a graphic designer $10,000 to do this, I would be like, oh, okay, cool. That's whatever. I still think it sucks, but $10,000, I'm not going to fucking have a fit over that. 1.1 million though, that's a bit too much. It's a bridge too far for me. Oh man, that's it for me tonight though. I ended up rambling far longer than I wanted to because football's back, and I had a lot to say about that Bills game last night. So Thank you for listening to me and letting me get that off my chest. I don't know how many. Only a few people know about this podcast, and I don't do anything to like promote it. I guess maybe up top I need to start being like, hey, like and subscribe and share. And I'm saying that right now. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. I'm the worst self-promoter. I'm not good at that. I'd like to think that I'm pretty good at yapping whenever I get going. I like to think I'm pretty good. Or I like to think I'm a kind of an entertaining person. Maybe I'm not, but I like to think that I am. I just don't like the self-promotion aspect. So that's always going to be my bugaboo. I'm not doing this to become famous or to become some content creator or some influencer or whatever. This is just me having fun. I find this fun. So I hope you have fun too. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good rest of your week. Stay safe.